Good morning, everybody. Happy Labor Day. Check it out. Working on the holiday. This is just a sample of my dedication to you. And it's that dedication to you that allows me to come in on a holiday and to do these videos for you, even when everybody else is slacking off. It's that dedication and also the fact that I tape these a couple of days ahead of time. I usually tape the Riffing on Mail Call videos on Friday and then upload the following Monday. This one I'm actually taping on Wednesday because on Friday I will be with the rest of Neon Reel Entertainment at Horror Find in Gettysburg. We're going to have a vendor's table there. We'll be selling movies and t-shirts, and we will be screening our new short film, The Black-Eyed Children, as a part of the Horror Find Film Festival. And actually, by the time you see this on Monday, all of that will be over with. So why the fuck did I tell you that? I don't know. Anyway, the following calls are taken from editions of Mail Call, printed in the Herald-Mail from August 22nd to August 31st, 2011, which can be viewed online in their entirety at www.herald-mail.com. First up from Hagerstown. With Congress and our politicians, with plenty of help from organizations like the ACLU, plus others, taking away practically any discipline allowed by parents and teachers, etc., is the main reason we're having so many problems with our youth. Also, with children who also didn't have much discipline and proper upbringing, having children, it's only going to get worse. Go to the draft and the armed forces for 18-year-olds, for both men and women. I think I'll hang on to the coffee for a second. How is drafting 18-year-olds who are finished with their primary education supposed to help parents and teachers exactly? Also, does anybody else find it interesting that this caller blames all of the youth-related problems on the government and that damn ACLU, but also insists that the government is the best solution to that problem by forcibly conscripting all those troubled youths that they helped to ruin into the military? I mean, people do realize that the military is a part of the government, right? British Prime Minister David Cameron for President of the U.S., Brightwood Acres East. British people for everything, man. If we just imported a fuck ton of Brits, that would solve so many of our problems here in the United States. I am convinced. Even the rough working class ones are more articulate than most of us. Those Brits can tell one hell of a story. When you can make it out. Some of them you wonder where they learned English. I have a fellow worker. He and I both make near six-figure incomes. He has 4 children, I have 1. I had to pay for my son's entire college education, and I get taxed a good bit. He gets write-offs, he gets all kinds of tax exemptions for the kids, he gets stimulus checks when George Bush was giving them out. He gets college help for at least 2 of his children. This is unfair. People who have children, people that choose to have children, need to quit getting exemptions and pay their fair share of the taxes. This burden shouldn't always be on the single or the 2 families, 2 incomes without children. It's their choice to have children. Hagerstown. Could not possibly agree with you more. The tax code as it currently exists actually gives people an incentive to have multiple children, and it should be exactly the opposite. In case you hadn't noticed, there's already plenty of people around. The human race doesn't exactly need you and your 11 kids to survive to the next generation, and we sure as hell don't need to be paying you for it. When your income is less than your outgo, your upkeep will be your downfall. It's time to cut up the nation's credit cards, Mr. Obama. You were elected president, not anointed king. Clear Spring. Yes, how dare President Obama exceed his presidential authority and take part in such an unprecedented action as deficit spending. I can't believe he would be the first president ever to do that. I just can't believe it. President Obama has talked endlessly about shared sacrifice and a supposed need to increase taxes on the rich, claiming they don't need all that income. Talk is cheap. Obama is a wealthy man. Yes, he is, and he and his family receive free government-provided housing, food, transportation, and health care, etc., so he obviously doesn't need his salary. So why doesn't he set an example of real shared sacrifice and give it back to the taxpayers? And this goes for all those wealthy politicians. Hello, Warren Buffett, also calling for higher taxes. There's a Treasury Department website where you can donate your own money to the government. Frederick, Maryland. What is it with critics of President Obama and their obsession with these meaningless symbolic gestures regarding the budget? First it was let's cut public broadcasting, and then it was let's cut NASA or let's cut federal funding to Planned Parenthood, none of which would even approach addressing the actual problem with the budget. And now it's the president should give back his salary. Okay, does the president really need the money? No. Is it that big of a deal either way? Let's think about it. The president earns a salary of $400,000 a year. So let's say that Barack Obama did give all of that money back to the Treasury. Okay, the current budget deficit is $1.3 trillion. So Obama gives back his salary, saves the government $400,000. At that rate, we would pay off the federal deficit in 3,250,000 years. Actually, you know what? I have a great idea. Why don't we just increase the president's salary to $1.3 trillion a year? Then he can give that back. That'll be a lot faster. Consider opening up your heart and your home to a homeless animal. Your generosity will be repaid with never-ending love. Clear Spring. Until the animal dies. What? What? I'm telling the truth. Are animals immortal? No, they are not. This is directed to the Hagerstown City Council and Mayor. As I was coming through Hagerstown, going west on Franklin Street the other day, I noticed a young man standing down on Franklin Street on the corner with his pants halfway down over his behind, his underwear halfway up his back. Why doesn't the City Council pass a law? This riffraff on the streets. Hagerstown. I have a better question. Why is my local newspaper printing fashion criticism from anonymous racists? You liberal parrots that repeat what is said to you by your socialist heroes currently in power, hear this. The most evil rich, that is, the top 2%, pay 40% of all income taxes. 51% pay no, I repeat, no income taxes. Yet these bottom feeders feel that the rich don't pay enough. I bet the ones who talk the most about the rich Republicans are the very ones who pay nothing. But they'll jump on the socialist bandwagon so that the handouts will keep flowing their way. Hagerstown. You tell me that 51% of the people in this country are so poor they don't even owe income taxes. And you expect me to join you in demanding that they pay more and the wealthiest Americans pay even less? By your own numbers, over half of your fellow Americans generate so little income that they don't have any income tax liability. And your response to this is to ask for even less from those who have the most and demand more from those who have the least. Who the fuck are you calling a bottom feeder? I want to congratulate the Herald-Mail on the article on gods and generals and Ron Maxwell not paying back what's owed. My prediction, and see how many callers agree with this, had the Herald-Mail not brought this to light, we'd have never heard anything more about it. I was wondering when this was going to come up again, and I will make another prediction that we will never see another red dime because nobody will follow through with it. Hagerstown. The Herald-Mail is our only local paper. Why is it significant to point out that we might not have heard about a local issue had it not been mentioned in the local newspaper? Anyway, for those of you that don't know what he's talking about, here's what happened. Ron Maxwell made Gettysburg, based on Michael Shara's Civil War novel, The Killer Angels. After Michael Shara died, his son Jeff wrote 2 more Civil War novels, Gods and Generals, which was a prequel, took place before the Battle of Gettysburg, and a sequel about the war following the Battle of Gettysburg called The Last Full Measure. Now, in 1997, Ron Maxwell borrowed $300,000 from Hagerstown and Washington County to help finance his film of Gods and Generals, which he shot largely in this area. He actually paid that loan back. Then in 2002, Maxwell took out another $300,000 loan from Hagerstown in Washington County to help fund his film of The Last Full Measure, which was also to be shot largely in and around this area. Now here we are 9 years later, no Last Full Measure movie, and Maxwell still owes Hagerstown and Washington County over $260,000 on that $300,000 loan. What happened? Well, what happened was that Gods and Generals turned out to be one of the worst movies ever made and a huge box office bomb to boot, and all of a sudden nobody wanted to give Ron Maxwell tens of millions of dollars to make another shitty Civil War movie. Even Ted Turner, who had helped finance Gettysburg and Gods and Generals in exchange for distracting cameos, wouldn't touch it. But, you know, strange as this may sound, I think that this situation has worked out as well as it could have for pretty much everybody involved. Either Maxwell will eventually pay back that loan on his own, or the city and county will take him to court and force him to pay it back. Either way, the city and the county are going to get their money back. And this way, they get it back without getting yet another shitty, horrible, ponderous, overly reverent Civil War film out of it. It works out as good as it possibly could for everyone, except Ron Maxwell. But he directed Gods and Generals, so fuck him. I had to respond to the caller from Hagerstown who said, "We don't need environmentalists in this country." Well, do we want to go back to the days where toxic waste was dumped everywhere and poisoned our water, and where the air was totally unfit to breathe, and back to the cancer clusters and children dying at young ages because of this? Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. No, we want to go back to the good old days. Pay attention. Well, my mother and I just got finished talking on the phone. We're probably the only two people in Hagerstown talking on the phone, because we have landlines. My cousin, nobody in my family could talk to me because all they have is cell phones. They got rid of their landlines. I hope they're all right, but see how Mother Nature can destroy your technology in the blink of an eye? Make sure you have a backup plan, like the old-fashioned landline. Hagerstown. So, you're saying a landline is more earthquake safe than a cellular phone that operates by bouncing signals wirelessly off of satellites? I'm pretty sure that Mother Nature would have a much easier time of destroying the old-fashioned technology of the landline if she had a mind to. Not that nature has a mind, or is a mother. And finally, from halfway, yeah, whether you like the Bushes or not, stop and think. 80% of the time when they took vacations, either Mr. Bush or Mrs. Bush, they went to Crawford, Texas. Like Mrs. Obama, where did she go? She took a whole crew of people, tour of Madrid, Spain, and took up the whole top floor of an expensive suite. And now look where the president's at, Martha's Vineyard, playing golf while we just had... He's up there playing golf while we just had an earthquake. Times are even a lot worse now than it was when Bush was president. Well, here's what we need to do. Amend the Constitution. We need to just put it right there in our nation's founding document. How many vacation days the president is allowed to take, where he's allowed to take those vacation days, and we can write a section defining what the president should do in response to natural non-disasters, like that earthquake. It could read something like, should an earthquake occur that causes no significant damage, creates no crisis, and requires little or no action from the federal government, the president shall return immediately to Washington to foster the impression that he cares about this thing he has no reason to care about. How's that sound? Does that sound good to you? All right, sounds good to me. Oh, no riders either, all right? You're not going to sneak that marriage amendment in this way, got it? Thanks for watching.